Well, good afternoon, everybody. Just a short one here. A bit of a follow-up on the shooting in the Kingdom Hall in Hamburg. I got no prizes for guessing that it was a former Jehovah's Witness that had done that and fallen out with them 18 months ago. So where you hear the phrase "fallen out with," you can easily, in witnessy terms, insert the word disfellowshipped. I would have thought, but it's all gone quiet, of course, because it was all over the news that day and the next day. But then, of course, now everything else has replaced it. So I suppose there's more over there, maybe, but no longer in Scotland. Interestingly, there's something came up on my Twitter feed today, and if you haven't read this, I'll read it out to you. But apparently, this is a letter that's going to be read out. Oh dear, toothache. It's going to be read out. Oh Christ. It's going to be read out. Oh Jesus Christ. It's going to be read out in all congregations in the witnessy world everywhere, apart from where there aren't congregations, such as Turkey and Syria. But we'll come back to that. It says, to all congregations, update on the situation in Hamburg. Dear brothers, the cruel act in Hamburg on March the 9th, 2023 has severely affected the whole brotherhood. We are all saddened and suffer along with them. It is all more overwhelming what has and is being accomplished locally to support our dear brothers and sisters, starting with the first hours after the crime and continuing until now. Many relief efforts have been coordinated in close communication with World Headquarters to best assist those who are suffering. Brothers of the Hospital Liaison Committee, and I said yes, obviously they'd be shunted in. Circuit Overseers, Branch Committee representatives and many others have been working tirelessly last week and this week to assist and provide comfort or practical help to victims, relatives and brothers and sisters of the congregation. These efforts demonstrate Jehovah's compassion. Now, isn't it funny? You can have people who do not have a faith, have no beliefs at all, and will actually, put their life on the line to do something to help their fellow man or woman, or sometimes even animal. People have lost their lives trying to rescue somebody's poor dog who's got stranded in the sea or whatever. And yet apparently the fact there are people who are, that people are shown compassion shows Jehovah's compassion, bizarrely, not the fact that humanity, that we as humans can show compassion. Apparently you've got to shoehorn in an invisible guy who does nothing at all and say, oh, it's all because of him. It's extraordinary. The words of Psalms 34:18 really come true. Jehovah is close to the brokenhearted. Yeah, so what was that other scripture? There's another scripture which says in Psalms, God is our refuge and strength. So clearly God isn't their refuge and strength, because obviously they were in God's house and he showed no strength at all. They were in the Kingdom Hall, he showed no strength at all. And so he's only close to the brokenhearted because of his lack of doing anything, his lack of angelic protection, the fact that God must have foreseen what this guy was going to do. There must have been angels tipping off God. Oh, by the way, we've been looking at what this guy's, we can see what he's thinking, we can see where he's going. The angels decided to just do nothing really and just allow this guy to, just kill so many people. So Jehovah's only close to the brokenhearted because he couldn't be bothered doing anything, and neither could his angels either. He goes on to say, we are pleased to inform you that a funeral program is planned which will certainly provide special comfort to all those affected. A member of the governing body, I know who won't be there, Tony Morris obviously won't be there. A member of the governing body, yes, Tony Morris, that, isn't it odd now that I even spoke to somebody I'm related to who still is a witness who didn't know about Tony Morris. It was only apparently up for about 6 days, and I really feel that I need to do a video where I ring up the Bethel like somebody else has done and just say, what's the script? Is Tony Morris really a member of the governing body or not? Because, you know, the only people who are stating this are like apostate sites and sites outside the witnesses. It's just this an apostate lie, and we were told it was in the news section in jw.org, yet it's not there anymore. Can you please assist us? So I'm thinking of maybe doing that call. Maybe Sunday afternoon, but watch your space. Maybe I won't. It says, and members of the branch committee will also be present at this occasion. Wow, how comforting that must be. The programme will take place in Hamburg on the last weekend of March 2023. This is interesting. Please continue to pray incessantly for the brothers and sisters who went through this traumatic experience. Now, interestingly, a lot of other religious denominations in that area, in trying to show solidarity for the members of the Jehovah's Witnesses in this congregation, we're doing some sort of event, I believe, you know, to show that that they too stand side by side with Jehovah's Witnesses, thinking it's ridiculous that people just going about that they're going about their normal, you know, place of worship should be murdered in such a fashion. And yet we all know that you might have had representatives of many different religions in there, you know, from Muslims and, you know, Sikhs and Catholics and Protestants and you name it. And the only representation of a religious faith that wouldn't be there, of course, would be Jehovah's Witnesses, because they view everybody else as part of the world empire false religion, as Babylon the Great itself, and they couldn't be seen to take part in an event of solidarity, to say that we want to have a special prayer event, you know, to show that, you know, that we are just as affected as you are. Isn't that bizarre? You know, that they won't be involved in this at all in the event. I think it's gone now, because of the fact, of course, they view everybody else apart from themselves as being under the control of Satan the devil. Goes on to say to pray for everyone through the traumatic experience and for everything that has been done to help them. This is an interesting thing. We are convinced that Jehovah is our secure refuge in times of distress. That goes back to that, what I just said before, wasn't it? That God is our refuge and our strength. So we are convinced that Jehovah is our secure refuge in times of distress. Please be assured of our love. Please, we are convinced. Well, I would suggest the fact that this event actually happened would absolutely convince you that Jehovah isn't a secure refuge in times of distress, because obviously, where do you go? Where do you go? You would have thought that, you know, going to the Kingdom Hall was you know, in God's house would be, you know, the safest place to be. But clearly not. Clearly, you know, if I was reading that as a witness, I was thinking, well, if they do that in the Kingdom Hall, where really is a secure place? Where's the secure refuge in times of distress? Bizarre. Interestingly, I was on holiday on my own. I've done that story when the earthquake in Turkey and Syria happened. And now we know there's around about 50,000 people dead. Men, women, children, little babies dead. And I don't remember anything, I might have missed it, that something like this, a letter going round to every congregation, talking about the brothers, how maybe like one congregation, Kingdom Hall was flattened, and how, about 20 brothers and sisters were lost, including the family. How one congregation, there's only like 3 survivors. How out of all the 50,000 people that died, and counting, in Syria and Turkey, that I don't remember any mention, and I do not, as I've said before, unless somebody provides a link, I don't go hunting for this information. I don't think there was, because I would have thought somebody might have put in an update on the situation in Turkey and Syria, and quoting examples and how many brothers and sisters are believed to have died, how many Kingdom Halls are being damaged. The reason being is because I think probably there weren't any Jehovah's Witnesses died in the earthquake or congregations damaged, because I think obviously Syria, especially, and the area of Turkey, I think it's mostly in those areas it's the Muslim faith that everybody believes in, and it would have been mosques that would have been damaged, not kingdom halls. This goes yet again to go down the road of you think to yourself how at Armageddon, 50,000 dying is going to be nothing in these places. And again, said this so many times. There must be people, like Turkey and Syria, which are, most people have the Muslim faith, who have never heard of Jehovah's Witnesses. If they heard about this shooting in Hamburg, they probably thought, who are these people? Who are these people? And yet these people are supposed to be God's people. And you get all these stooges out in carts, checking their phone out, not speaking to anyone. And they're supposed to be involved in life-saving work, and they should be going to places like Turkey and Syria. You're literally selling up, or at least, retiring or spending a couple of months over there and actually witnessing to these poor people. Well, actually, it'd be handy if they actually went over there and provided some material support first, and then tried to provide them spiritual support, but at least physically help these guys out. Who are just sleeping in tents and roughing it up at the moment, and heaven knows what other atrocities they're going through. So you would think that, Jehovah's Witnesses would think, well, we've really got most of, areas of what we'd say the Christian world all sorted out. Most people have heard of us in Europe and America and Brazil and places like this. I think we should concentrate on where there's a large Muslim faith, and try to make inroads there. And yet, bizarrely, not a mention as far as I'm aware, because, like I said, I don't think there is any of them there, which again comes back to so many times before about this whole, nonsense about the good news of the kingdom being preached in the entire inhabited earth to a witness of all the nations. Well, I'll tell you now, you could go to many nations in this world and nobody's heard of the good news of the kingdom, nobody's heard of Jehovah's Witnesses, and nobody's certainly heard that they'd possibly be going to die next week at Armageddon because they've been brought up and their family generationally for thousands of years in the Muslim faith. It's bizarre. And I'm just going to finish on this one thing, actually, which was heartbreaking when I watched it. It was a father in you saw a month ago, whenever this was, and his only surviving family member was his daughter, who was absolutely traumatized, and he was saying to her, "Do you still love your daddy? Daddy still loves you." And then he was saying, "This is God's will. This is God's will." And the many times where you saw a child or somebody being rescued after maybe day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6 and day 7, and as they're bringing out that's surviving against the odds, with no food and no water, or having to bit of burst pipe and surviving off that, and bring that alive, and all these guys around them are shouting out, "God is great, God is great, God is great." And it is staggering, because for that person who they just dragged out, everybody's, praising God, "Oh, God is great." The fact is that surrounding the one person who survived is this person's entire family who've died. And yet these people are trying to rationalise that, somehow in line with their own faith, that there must have been a reason for this, and he miraculously saved a couple of them, and to show how great he really is. It's just stunning. At the end of the day, a lot of these houses were built by cowboy builders or dodgy permits that didn't exist. A lot of people made a lot of money, and they're going to try and track down who these people were. You're not making these buildings earthquake proof, which was the reason why so many people died, because the building materials were crap, and they were put up, with faults all over the place. And yet, incredibly, God spent thousands and thousands, well, let's not go back to how many thousands of days, created days used to be when I was a witness, but that's a whole new story. I'm sure I've talked about that once before. But let's just say it was created over millions of years. And finally, God rested after making Eve, obviously, the last creation, and he said it was good. Yeah, it wasn't God It wasn't very good, God, was it really? You know, talk about a cowboy builder, talk about shoddy building practices. He made this earth with fracture lines all the way through it. Like every continent has got fractured lines, all these plates are rubbing against each other. Nothing to do with, people say, oh, well, that's been caused by, exploding nuclear bombs under the ground or at sea weather. Sorry, earthquakes, as we know, and volcanic activity killing thousands of people going back, has been going on for thousands of years. So let's not blame man for this. At the end of the day, you have to blame the person who made the earth. So if you're somebody who still loves, I love me Jesus, if you're somebody who still thinks God is a really good guy, please answer me this question. Why would he make an earth that was inherently not good, that he shouldn't have rested, that he shouldn't have made sure that there wasn't any plates rubbing against each other, going off the top of each other, and causing the deaths of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people over thousands of years, when tsunamis have occurred, from an earthquake happening, miles away at sea, and the wave comes on, 60 foot high and destroys thousands of people. The Krakatoa earthquakes, Pompeii, I could just go on the earthquakes in the 70s in China, I think 250,000 died. You could just go on and on, just 50,000 and counting more. You've got to say, forget about the shoddy builders in Turkey and Syria. You've got to then point the finger of blame to God and explain to me how he is great. How is God great? It doesn't make any sense. It is bizarre that somehow we've invented this invisible guy, and where we build our hopes and dreams that he's going to make things all okay and look after us, and that that we're convinced that Jehovah is our refuge in times of distress, and in fact he's the cause of the distress, but either by building a shoddy planet that kills thousands, or stands idly back while a guy goes into a kingdom hall and shoots people. And as we know, there are people who go to their mosques and their temples and their churches and their synagogues and however, and who think it's a secure place. They think that's where they will be safe and secure. And people have been dying in their places of worship for thousands of years. And the death toll now is like one bomb in a mosque can just take out like 150 people. It's staggering. It is staggering, yet these people still somehow try to justify why God allowed it to happen, and at the end of the day he is still a great guy. I'm sorry, really, honestly. I don't know, to be honest with you, how anybody can still have a faith in any God that they worship at all when atrocities like this happen time and time again, and will keep on happening. And yet all these gods out there idly stand by and do bugger all. I don't get it. If you still want to believe in God, the God of the Bible, and you think he's a good guy, I don't understand it. Anyway, that's my phone. I'm off. See you again. Bye bye.